How are you?
Doing good, Noor.
Thank you. Hello everyone. Very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to people joining from different parts of the world. I welcome to Where to Win webinar series. My name is Noor Basha, Senior Marketing Manager at Intranet Technologies, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. As you can see on the screen, most of the logistic details are available there. However, I would like to highlight a couple of them in case if you find any issues during the webinar, you can dial in through telephone details provided to you in your registration email. And also you can please feel free to post questions in the questions dialogue, and we will try to answer as many as we can at the end of the session. So today's topic is Intranet UX. Keep it simple, keep it interesting. So where my colleague Gopi will discuss some of the best practices in the industry on how we can keep the Intranet UX more engaging, simple and interesting for the employees to use. So with this, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to today's panelist, Mr. Gopinath, who is the Senior UX Lead at Intranet Technologies, and he brings in close to 14 years of industry experience as an UX lead. So now let me take a minute to explain you who we are. Intranet Technologies is a specialized IT solutions company focused on making information actionable for the enterprises. Our key focus areas include mobility, cloud, collaboration, and analytics technologies. As a Microsoft managed partner, we work on different platforms such as SharePoint, SQL Server, Office 365, as well as custom built solutions on Azure and .NET programming. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Gopi. Over to you, Gopi.
Yeah, thanks, Noor. So, hi everyone. So let's get started. So today's topic is a very interesting one, and which we, I think, company Winware, which we're doing a lot of intranets, and we doing all those things. We encountered a lot of issues, and how we sorted out, and doing so, we found out many research. We did a lot of research on intranets and how people are using it, and what are the things which came across as a hurdle to us. So we'll be tackling all those things in today's webinar, and how do we make sure that Intranet becomes a treat to employees rather than literally a pain to them many times, which they say it. So the agenda for today's is very simple. It's just an introduction, short introduction of Intranet. Then we will go ahead with some of the mistakes which we do. Then we touch upon some of the facts based on the research done by organizations like Foresters. And then, of course, then the last point we will just keep on saying about how do we make it interesting, and I would like to share some of the design which we did for many intranets. So let's get started. So first thing is, when we talk about intranet, it's always a very, very tricky game. Many of you may be experiencing it when you're doing it for your own company, right? Because when it comes to our own company, when we're building it for our own company intranet, we generally tend to ignore many things, and many times we think that the parent website which we have, it should be of an same as the intranet should have a same kind of flavor, and so we tend up like debating with each other, saying that how do we make our intranet, and generally we ignore that fact that the intranet is very, very useful for the employees, and it should be treated as a project. So first of the common mistakes, then like we say that why intranets often fail, or maybe why it doesn't get materialized properly, or people generally it fails many times in many of the companies. I'm talking about big companies also. So why is like the some of the points which you say that like top management, like if you start the internet from that big companies, it's generally top management who decides what it needs to be done as a process and how it is to be done, which often leads to very less thinking from the core team on how do we go about it. So that's one first, the main important point. Second thing is when we try to build up a team of intranet, generally there is no team since so most of the team is being given to the project team, as you see. So so the question arises that like why do you need a dedicated team here? Like we can just pull up one of the developers, maybe he's free for a week or something, and maybe he can do it from a part-time. So that tends to again not form a core team kind of thing, and just doing it as a part-time to fill up and complete the intranet and just make it live. So even if there's a team structure which is formed in many of the companies, what happens is that like the team structure follows that again it goes on till the company director or CEO leads it, and then it goes to the project manager who already has a lot of projects or a lot of tasks in his hands, and he's been given these additional responsibilities. So he's scratching his head and on a budgeting issue, because this is regarded as a kind of social service, as this doesn't generate a revenue for them. So again, if you see this, the technical head, chief architect, everything goes onto a single person or maybe two persons who again find it very difficult to start a materialize it. So then the thing is that's what the figure shows that intranet team. So if you see the difference, intranet team, we don't get the balance of resource. IT team, or like the team which has a lot of projects, who's working on projects, gets a lot of cream, and the cream of the projects resources goes into that, which often like when you see intranet team, which is very less, and that's the way that it tends to fail. I mean, it tends to defocus on intranet. So then when people say that, then what about the employees? What do they think about it if we do complete that intranet? So many of them like say that, look, no, okay, they will get used to the new UI after using it, and some of them if it's a big IT service company, they feel that we are doing intranet to showcase it to the other for their customers, saying that, look, this is our intranet. So the focus is always on building a wow factor to the others, not the employees who will be actually using it. So that's what happens, and then finally arises that where is the UX guy? And again, it's a very funny way that they say that, like, you mean the UI designer or a graphic designer? So many times it happens that like coding is complete and development is done with all the processes and all, everything is laid down, and then they say that, like, okay, we just ask him to ask for some colors, fonts, suggestions, and then just pitch in and then ask him to change the CSS. So that's a big mistake, and then it's kind of patchwork, you know, like we do some product and then we try to just color it off. That's the thing which happens when we involve the UX at the very end of it, or even in the middle of it. Then and again, in many places where happens, what we have seen is in intranet, there is no process and no strategy and there is no goal. So without which, again, without which there is no direction to that. Like, where are we heading to? So, and due to the time constraint, and they wanted to roll it out very quickly, they say that let's do it in phase 2. So once they say that phase 2, it goes to phase 3, phase 4, and there is nothing. There is no end to it. So So that's the employee voice which we often see when we have a very bad intranet, saying that some of the employees say that we find it very tough to find it and we'll generally give it up. So that's the fact says that many of the companies intranet is seen as a last resort to find anything. That's a real fact from many of the companies. So what they do is that they end up doing it. They end up storing many of the documents, or storing many of the URLs, or bookmarking it and keeping it instead of going to the intranet, which they find it that very easy than going to the intranet. So let's summarize it. Some of the mistakes which people do is one of the key points is the navigation and information architecture. Of course, the people we tend to forget that, and we directly jump into the real pages and the designs, mock-ups, without thinking about how do we structure it properly. Some of the other points are like the news. The news is a very important part where people just put the company news which already exists in their company website. The same news gets populated in the intranet as well. So people just generally tend to forget, like, I mean, why do they need to go to see the intranet, the company news in the intranet, when they can go and see in their website also. So that kind of thing, and some of the internal apps, like if you say payroll claims and all those things, they're not properly grouped in many places. So people tend to start searching for what they are looking in for, and then they get lost in that. So departments is something which, again, if a company has a lot of departments, they're not categorized properly. Some of the things are placed in some other department and they have to go back and forth. So basically content is also not updated properly, and it's a very, very outdated thing. If an outdated content, if you see in content which is like 2012 or 13, still the date is showing 2012. So people, and when an employee comes again and again, he sees the same content, so he will never come back again, saying that okay, this is what there's nothing new to it. So basically, what the mistakes we see in designing the intranet is there is no interactivity, or there is, even though intranet may look very great, I mean it's good looking, but still people will see that there is not much of interactivity and nothing people can do in that. The employees can't contribute much onto it, so they get bored easily, and they will never come back again. And that's one thing. And so mostly the most emphasis on most of the intranets when they're designing for many enterprises or many service companies is they go more into a beautiful looking or having a rich feeling of it, which again the emphasis goes on that, and that the basic thing they're looking it for, they fail in that. So some of the researches shows that survey conducted by Forrester is that 40% of the people, the people that they surveyed for how it can be improved, and they spoke to many employees. So the percentage which they saw is that like 40% of the people say that better content and organization, better content organization goes to 40%, and easier to find information in what they are looking in for goes to 35%, and clear intranet strategy goes to 10%, and same way getting rid of the outdated content. Moving on again, the point is 50% of the people still find in the current scenario is that they look in the internet to find the stuff, and 25% people are just looking for policy and procedures, another 12% for finding forms and other apps, other downloadable thing, and only 3%, if you notice, is reads the organization news. This is an actual survey information conducted way back in 2012. by Forrester. So let's get to the key point of how do we avoid all these things? How do we make it very interesting? Which is so the first point is like we need to involve employees from the start and have let the UX team lead the show, and have a UX team initially appointed even before when we conceptualize the intranet, and let the employees be part of the research which the UX team will do. And how do we do that research is a UX team defines some user group and they'll start going to talk to the employees and how they use the internet, give them some tasks, and based on their earlier experience and the current experience, how do they feel and what are the things which they're looking for internet, how do they spend the time in the internet and how much time they spend, and what are things which they would like to do. Those all things you can just have it, just speak to them, and if it's not possible for an one-to-one, we can also have a direct session and video sharing, and we can do that. And this will generally help you to create a checklist of the list of what do you think, what do you want, instead of having it from the business, instead of having it from a stakeholder, or if you're doing it for an other company, instead of having it from a stakeholder directly, if you can have it from the employees who are using it, it would be great. And you can just record the session, and you can have it formulate all your research, record and then summarize it. And this will be an ideal start for that. Then if you can involve employees on card sorting exercises, like this will be a great exercise if you're doing it for a navigation structure. If you're defining a navigation, you can involve people from say some 5 or 6 people from each department and ask them to organize the content with small chits or cards, and ask them to just group them according to what they think. And then again you can record this, and this will be helpful for you to define the navigation, and this will be a hardcore proof for you, so that this is done by the employees, it's not done by you, or you're not being forced to do that. So apart from that, it will be great if you can have a pre-launch teasers like this. This will always help people to this will create a great awareness session, and there will spark on them a creativity. You can have it as you can have a intranet naming competition within your team, and have a logo competition. They can create a logo and just paste it in the board or something with their name. You can award them. You can so this will create, like, even if you're launching it in a couple of months, this will create a lot of awareness, and also people will get very excited on that. And another key important point is when you're designing and when you're starting it, you need to design. You need to test your design out with the employees from the start. This need not be as an actual visual markup. You need to do a basic wireframes or maybe a rough sketches. At each individual task, you can go back and forth with each employees and share with them, have a brainstorming session with them, and go back to your drawing board and just do it. And this will help it will really help the designers on thinking that are they going on the right path or no. And they can target at the very earliest stage than going when the development is complete and then they have to go back. So this will help eradicate many errors. So coming back to the news which I was talking about, the best type of news, as the researchers say, is that talk about the employees, the news about the employees, rather than showing a news about the companies or what is doing, company is doing. This again will allow the users, allow the employees to publish their stories, allow them to share some stories, jokes, or maybe blogs, encourage them to do that. So it will and publish that intranet and with maybe their pictures or something. So this will again create a lot of buzz, and people will start using it, and we will find it very interesting. Another point which many of the places which we see missing is the employee details profile. Like if you see in many places, many of the profile we ask employees to enter it, or maybe the photos are not same as what it's empty and it's not as part of what the badge is. So have it pre-populated those badges, and also have these profiles and all ready-made from the whatever database you have it. So this will not only create a lot of awareness, and this will also have a good user experience for the users. And something like publish celebrations and events regularly, so that it gets updated and this will create a lot of enthusiasm among the employees. And have a photo of the day contest. People have it, the photo clicked and uploaded, and award them. Have an idea contest running and track those ideas. Like for example, if a person says that, like if he posts an idea like something like they want an garbage can somewhere outside in India, each of the departments which is missing, just track it and have it like and ensure that this is done. So this becomes like a very good tracking, and also many things get solved easily with the help of it. And employee also feels that okay, his voice has been heard, kind of. And this also one more important thing, like classifies when the employee wants to buy or sell something, and he wants to just post it instead of posting it like before even posting it to some other external website. They can do it internally. They can just post it, email them. They get a reply. You can just reply them. And this becomes very easy without even going to and doing for an external and struggling for that. And some of the examples like have a suggestion box, same like some companies have it called as Ask HR, where many people don't speak to HR very openly for the issues which they have it. You can have it, something called Ask HR, or they have a suggestion box online, so they can just write their issues and just post it. So they will get a feedback, and you can track those and get a reply. And this will again, this will again have to take action, and then keep employees posted with the timeline, so that they can know that their concerns have been heard. So other than that, there are many apps, like important apps which are missing, and like something like have the employees fill their timesheet in the online rather than having it in Excel, claims, or with something travel reimbursement and leave applications. These are things which people really love to do that in Intranet, rather than having it them done through Excel or Word file and sending it to them employees, or emailing it to their managers. Rather than doing that, it will be easy for you to even track that, and also it will be helpful for them. They can do it anywhere. And the last point is it's a very important thing which is going on nowadays. Is like we have the Intranet firstly have it work outside your office and mobilize it. I mean, you need to have the Intranet accessible in mobile and other devices like iPad or Android devices, because most of the managers who would be this would be very useful for people who are, if you're doing it in workflow or an approval cycle. So this will be helpful for your managers, so that they can easily get that, and they just approve, reject it, and without even going to the PC or a laptop or coming to the office. So and also if you're not even able to do that, the entire thing responsive to the devices, it would be great if you can at least have some of the important features, something like if you're not able to even do a news, but if you can do some workflow things online, in the sense for the mobility, it would be great for them. So that way you don't have to. People don't have to again go back to their PCs and all. So going, this is some of the things which will make Intranet very interesting. Let me show you some of the sample designs which we did. So where we did a lot of Intranet for many companies. So we focus on the same things. We spoke to many spoke to many employees of the organization, and some of the designs which you see is if you see in this screen, like this is for a big energy company where we focused. The focus was on if you see on the left side, the focus was more on the apps as well as some of the services, which they felt that the most used, which we felt that the most used things, like something like expense report, which happens on a daily basis in the company, something like manager toolkit, employee toolkit, and if you see the events, what are the events which are doing it for employees, we have it, and yeah, something on leaders speak, CEO speak on a regular basis, we display that. And so if you see, it's very content oriented and very even though it's rich, but it's also if you see, it's very interactive and people just get used to it. And we after designing that, after doing a lot of research, we also spoke to many of the employees, and after usage of 2-3 months, we felt that we were very satisfied with it. And the second design which is being shown is again for a big network company, which we did. They had this very old Intranet, and basically again the same thing was the news thing. The news thing was very outdated, and we tried to bring in. If you see this news which has been displayed, it's all the news written by the employees, not by the system or not by the marketing team. So again, the focus was on apps and the grouping of the content. You can see on many of the screens of the screen. So some of the fun elements, like we did it also for a gaming site, which they wanted a lot of fun element in that, and so this is kind of the my page kind of thing, where the person who logs in, how he sees his own page. He can see his own colleagues, he can see his documents, and organizing chart. He can chat with his employees, and he can just post it. So some of the things which you did, and another example is like a very plain, where vanilla kind of look, where not much colors used on it, but focus was more again on the tools, apps, and the content organization, organizing the content. So with that, I just end my webinar. So only one thing I would like to share is like the focus, which I would summarize, is that like the focus which we do it for all other projects, where we follow a lot of process, and we follow a structured process. In fact, employing a UX guy and employing the project manager and the dedicated team. We need to have it for Intranet to make it very successful, and most importantly, research. The user research is the most important thing which needs to go for Intranet, without which Intranet will never succeed. How much good you make it, it will never succeed. It needs to go through an employee, and it has to be, because employees, those are the people who are using it. It's not only for the CEO, CIOs, it's for the employees. So we need to make it happen for them, which will make them successful. So thanks for listening, and yeah, back to you, Noor. Yeah, Noor, you there?
Yep. Hi, Gopi.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks Gopi, thanks for the insightful session. It was really great to hear some of the great and valid points in terms of designing the intranet. So, and more importantly, some of those sample mock-ups or the screenshots that we have worked for some of our customers. Now, I know like we are just left with a minute. I would quickly jump and take a couple of questions from the audience. These questions come from a mark. So he asked, how do you measure the success factor for intranet? I think this is a little tricky, but I would like you to take that question.
Okay, that's good. That's a good question. So how do we measure? Is like we measure success factor based on the task which we give. Like when we do a research with the employees, and we give some tasks to them. We record those tasks and record time completion for the task. How much and we have it like 10 seconds. If it's completed by 10 seconds, it's a success factor. We counter that. That is one part. And second part, how we measure is the error rate. The current site, which how much error rate is that, we count that as a thing, and time to complete the session, the task. Those all things we counter as an success factor, and we have it kind of predefined at 10 seconds. If the task is completed in 10 seconds, it's successful. If it's not, there's something wrong in that. So that's how we measure success.
Thanks, Gopi. So I have another question. When we redesign our intranet, some of our employees find it difficult to adapt to the new design. So how do we tackle in those kind of situations, or we just leave employees to learn and use it? Is that the way, or like there is some inputs that you can share with us?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because many of the people feel that because if you do a drastic change in the internet from what is looking, people generally see that they get lost. But here's a good point. I mean, when we do when we do start this internet exercise, that's the reason I was mentioning that we need to put employees in the start. When we're doing a research, we involve them. When we involve them, they also feel that what they are doing, what is going to come up, and instead of having it as a surprise to them, like something very new thing which is coming, which you put in front of them. So that's the reason, if you've seen in my earlier slides, so emphasizes was more on involving employee on each of the steps. So be it a developer or be it any finance guy or anyone. So if you involve them on each of the process, like on the designing, so they will also feel that okay, this is what we are looking in for, and it's not something which is coming as a surprise to them.
Okay. Thanks, Gopi. Thanks for taking up that question. I know we are already running out of time. So what I would like to do is I will let audience drop email to us at marketing@winwire.com in case if you have any questions, and we would like to answer those questions offline. So with that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining this session and have a good day. Thanks, Gopi. Thanks for the very wonderful session. Have a good day.
Okay. Thanks, Noor. Bye.
Bye.